But right now, delighted to have in studio with us the Cabinet Secretary for Devolution, Anne Waiguru. Thank you for joining us, Anne.
Thank you, Julie, for having me.
Thank you. It's a big month for Kenya when it comes to women's empowerment, a key issue for development. We've got the Group of 4 meeting, and we've also got Nairobi 30, which is going to be hosting over 2,000 participants. Tell us a little bit about this and why it's important for women's empowerment.
Okay, thanks, Julie, for having me. On the G4 meeting, it's not a completely formal meeting, but we're very excited to be hosting these 2 meetings in Nairobi. They're a culmination of a lot of work that has been going on in the background, both in terms of technical preparation, but also building up on what we've been doing in the last 2 years to ensure that we're empowering women and also setting an agenda for the post-2015. Now, on the G4, there are 4 countries that have had the privilege over the years to host a UN international conference. They are Mexico, that hosted in 1975. Then we had Denmark in 1980. Then we had Nairobi, Kenya in 1985. And then we had Beijing in 1995. And those are the 4 key women conference meetings that have made a significant impact when it comes to women empowerment. Now, those 4 countries, we managed to convene them when we were in New York this year in March during the CSW, in the sidelines of the meeting, and we proposed as a country that we can come together as a G4 to forge an alliance that can continue to advance. Kenya was chairing that meeting. It was us who took the initiative to host them, and they've already arrived representatives from the 4 countries coming for the G4 meeting that will happen technically starting tomorrow, and then the ministerial session on Wednesday. Now, the Nairobi Plus 30 is 30 years after the conference that was held in Nairobi in 1985. So again, this is also a culmination of a discussion that took place in the sidelines of the AU meeting last year, because this year is a special year in the AU. It's a year where the theme is on women empowerment and gender equality. And so they requested, ministers from across Africa requested Kenya to host this meeting for us to come together, share our experiences, take stock of the progress that we have made, and see what it is that we can agree, especially as we move towards the UN General Assembly.
So for many women, and particularly, let's talk the Kenyan woman watching and asking, what's all this got to do with me? And particularly 30 years after 1985, the meeting here, what are the gains? And what possibly could people get out of a meeting of this kind?
I think in the last 30 years, we have made progress. We're not yet there, but we can see significant progress in terms of women empowerment and also moving us towards equality, especially gender equality between men and women. We can see that today, for example, you have in leadership, public leadership, you have women. 30% of cabinet, for example, is women and holding significant portfolios just like their male counterparts. We have them at PS level. If you go to the judiciary, for example, you will find the Deputy Chief Justice is a woman. We have about 28% of the Supreme Court women. You have in the High Court 40%. So you can see that the progress we're getting there in the National Assembly and the Senate, a combination of about 25% of women in those 2 institutions, and that is significant. We've moved from 9.9% in just one election cycle to 24%. So these gains were beginning to be felt, but we're still below the target. We still want to get to at least minimum 30% as required by the Constitution, and we hope that this helps us forge that agenda
towards that. You know, kudos to Rwanda, which is leading the world actually, and is 50% plus, I believe, right now. Let's just talk for a moment about competitive politics for women and the fact that there is a lot of angst around the whole idea of 2/3 or at least a 1/3 for the minority. What's your thought on all the discussions happening around these issues?
Actually, Julie, during this Nairobi Plus 30, we will be officially launching the campaign for the 2/3. The government is very committed to make sure that we are safeguarding that constitutional provision. We finally have made proposals. There's a bill in Parliament. We hope that we will be able to agree on our way forward, but we are standing on our ground that we cannot go back on that provision of the 2/3 gender rule. We have to adhere to the Constitution. We have to find a way to make sure that it's implemented and implemented immediately. And so we will be launching that campaign as well this week.
Okay, so you've heard it here on Sunday Live that 2/3 gender rule is going to be protected, is what the Cabinet Secretary is saying. Let's go to your personal experience as a woman. And I've spoken to some Cabinet Secretaries who have said, you know, I thought twice when I was asked. We have also seen women who, when going through the vetting process, stepped out of the option of moving forward. There is a feeling that sometimes it takes too much from the woman. There's also the reality that the attacks on women in power are particularly vicious. They get particularly personal, and it's a difficult, it's a difficult position to take. You've been in the middle of it, seen as one of the most powerful women in this country. You've been under vicious attack, particularly recently, accused of all manner of things. What would you say to women who are saying, we see what Waiguru is going through and we don't want to be in her shoes? What would you say to them?
Julie, it's unfortunate that despite the progress that we have made over the years, that there's still a society like ours that is extremely patriarchal. I mean, in this country, we say that for a woman to be recognized, you have to work twice as hard to get half the recognition that your male counterparts have. It's just the reality. But we cannot give up. We cannot give up. It is tough, that I will tell you. I've had very many people telling me they will never consider a public office job, even if they are qualified for it, mostly because of what they see that women go through. If you just look at our experiences, the things that women are subjected to, it's almost unbearable. To be very honest, is extremely, extremely difficult. I think for the women, I encourage them to just be brave. Because for us, I must give credit to the women who went ahead of us. They're those who have broken the glass ceiling for us. Women like Zipporah Kitonyi, Wanjiko Kibera, you've seen, they've been here, Phoebe Asio. They have paid a certain price in their days for us to be here today. And for us who are here, we pay the price for the girls who are coming after us so that we can make sure that we safeguard that space and keep increasing it until the time when we are completely, we can say we have gender equality.
What an inspiration. So we stand on the shoulders of giants, and we must be giants for others to stand on our shoulders, is what you would say to other women. Finally, we had Jaduri in studio earlier, and he shared his story. He's battling cancer. Kenyans have shown incredible spirit by coming out to support him. There's the issue of healthcare and cancer treatment, particularly in the devolved structures of government. What's happening? What guarantees can you give Kenyans?
Julie, the government has made a tremendous effort to make sure that we are providing adequate health care everywhere. You have seen that they are going to be opening hospitals, level 4 hospitals in every county. You saw Machakos has already launched one, and they've been, county governments have signed with the national government to receive equipment for various treatments, and that includes cancer screening and treatment, kidney treatment as well, and other equipment that are not usually found at that level. So in the next 2 or so years, we should say comfortably, from what we have seen with the plans provided by the Ministry of Health, that we should be able to have screening and treatment at the county level.
Happening at county level.
In this country.
Push your county. It's your right to know what plans are and to push them to ensure they get there. Thank you so much for joining us. And you can take part in the discussions happening at the Nairobi conference. Use hashtag Nairobi 30, and you can keep updated on what's going on with the Women's Empowerment Conference taking place. We're taking a break. Stay with Sunday Live.